that I picked today is the movie 42. Is a baseball movie. It's a baseball related movie. That's probably why it's so significant to me. That's probably why I picked it. This movie is a 2013 biographical film written and directed by Brian Helgeland and produced by Legendary Entertainment. The movie takes place in the United States in the decades of the 40s and 50s. The film is about a baseball player named Jackie Robinson, who was the first black person to play in the Major League Baseball. Back in the days, there was a white league and a Negro league. In this movie, he he received an invitation from one of the team's owner to play on the MLB, which was a white league. This invitation was really controversial, and it was really hard for him to understand, really, because uh, everybody was against black people back then. Racism was a big thing. It was probably one of the most important things in the decades of the 40s and 50s, and it was really hard for people like him to overcome the challenges that white population was putting into their lives. And the main ethical theory in the film that I would like to discuss is virtue theory. Virtue ethics is a class of normative ethical theories which treat the conceptual moral virtue as central to ethics. Virtue ethics is usually contrasted with two of the other major approaches in normative ethics, consequentialism and deontology, which makes the goodness of an outcomes of an action and the concept of moral duty central. Uh, Virtue ethics is arguably the oldest ethical theory in the world, and what defines something, that if something is good or bad in this theory, it defines good actions as the one that are virtuous character, the like courage, loyalty, and wisdom, and define bad actions that are the ones that display cowardice, treachery, and ignorance. And the other question is, what is the central ethical conflict in the film that you would like to discuss? Jackie Robinson himself was a very temperamental person, and when he received this offer to play on the MLB, he had to learn how to handle situations that he wasn't um being into before receiving this invitation. He was exposed to a lot of racism, hard and extreme racism, as soon as he got the offer, and he had to learn how to handle all this pressure that he was put on. And I think that is a big challenge. Uh, Starting on the first scene, is when Jackie Robinson goes and tries to use the bathroom at a gas station, and he was not allowed to do it. That was in the minute, as roughly in the minute 5 second 39th of the movie, and the characters that were impacted in this scene was primarily Jackie Robinson and the gas station worker, but indirectly his teammates were also allowed because they witnessed everything that was going on at the moment. And sometimes it is really common for us nowadays to use a bathroom in a gas station, but back then in the decade of the 40s and 50s, which was roughly the time that this situation was going on, it was not as common. It was completely a different situation. Racism, like I said before, was in a big part of the life in Americans in the United States. Throughout this specific scene in the film, this is a good example of racism and how common it was in those days. Jackie Robinson gets out of the bus, and just explain a little bit of the scene. He gets out of the bus and he tries to use the bathroom, even though he has in letters it says white people only, which meant that only white people was allowed to use the bathroom, and he was going in anyway because he really had to. And the gas station worker stopped him and told him that he knew that he couldn't go there. So Jackie Robinson was felt that the need to tell him, okay, then we're they were he threatened him with going to a different gas station and take and use 99 gallons of gas in other place, and they were not gonna use that place anymore. And the gas station worker thought, like, he realized that he was gonna lose a lot of money, so he just let him use the bathroom. So based on this, on his motivation to let Jackie use the bathroom, it is clear that is not a good action, because he's not trying to be a better person. He's not trying to understand the fact that he's just helping a guy. He wouldn't have done it if he wouldn't have been threatened. The second scene though, um, Pee Wee, which was one of Jackie's teammates, talked to him during the game, and this was a very big scene. It was in an hour 40 minutes into the film, and a lot of people was involved in this scene, or at least impacted by this. Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee's family who was in the game, and I think all the people in the stands who was watching the actions that Pee Wee was doing, including a little kid that is shown on the scene. That if you go and watch it, you can understand what I'm saying, and probably all the other Jackie's teammates and the other team would have been affected with this scene. During this scene, Jackie Robinson was playing a game, and he was being yelled at. He was being discriminated by a lot of people, and just not to say by everybody in the stadium. And just because of his skin color, like I said, racism. And evaluating this scene from the virtue point of view, we can say that what Pee Wee did was a good thing, because he went to him and talked to him and tried to make him feel better and make him understand that when it comes to life, there is not a skin color barrier. He is just a person, and Jackie Robinson asked him during this scene why he was doing that, why was he hugging him during the game and talking to him before the start of the game, and he said that he had family up there watching the game, and he wanted his family to understand what was the right thing to do. And and I quote, was said, maybe tomorrow we all wear 42 so they won't tell us apart. That is one of the most famous quotes of this movie. And in the last scene, there was this kid that started yelling at Jackie Robinson, trying to discriminating him, and racial insults and everything. And this scene is in the an hour 39 minutes into the film, and the kid's life was impacted, and also his understanding of what is right and what is wrong. Also, Jackie Robinson, just because he was being yelled at. When looking at the scene, we understand that he did what he thought it was the right thing to do, even though he was just following an example. When Jackie Robinson went out to the field, everybody started yelling at him at the field, including the kid's dad. His kids started yelling at him, and the kids didn't really know what to do. He kept looking around, like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? And when he saw that his dad was doing and everyone else was doing, he started yelling at him, which is a really important example of what the society and around us do, and how they affect our decisions. Even more when we are kids, we don't have a really understanding of what is right or wrong. So this is this is an example of how bad these can be. And finally, how can you relate this film to real world lessons? As you can say right here, as you can see right there, I am from a different country. I am from Venezuela, and coming to the United States is not easy, and it might not be, everything is not good like people think. I have found myself in situations where I've been racial discriminated as well, and I think that is something that in society nowadays it shouldn't be happening. Yeah, this film, that is an extreme, but it we still have some leftovers from that nowadays. And what lessons have you learned from watching and thinking about this movie from a critical perspective, and has this critical reflection inspired you to make changes in your own life? Well, honestly, after watching this movie as a baseball player, I understood a lot of things in the field, but off the field, I understood that how important your teammates and how important you can be to some and impact someone else's life just to showing them your support in their life. It is really important to be honest and to try to see what other people is going through, trying to see how you can help them is a really important factor in your life, and that as a person will make you better. And that I think is in virtue ethics is the main point. Try your yourself to be better so you can try to help others. Thank you.